Yo, D1, what up, bro? Mm, trying to find something I can play on here. Not the next 3 days. And this man don't know what to do with himself. What you, what you gonna do for 3 days, bro? Huh? Man, I don't know how to act with 3 days off.
But you have an open experience.
with what just happened with Epstein,
You don't know what to do with yourself.
You can't get away with this stuff anymore.
Well, what,
It's weird, bro. I took so I didn't go to work today, but I work tomorrow on Tuesday, and then I have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. So I basically just worked 1 day this week. I intended on going to work today, but I didn't. Gotta get that 60 hours sleep, that sleep marathon in real quick. I've been missing this. That motherfucker gonna go to sleep. He gonna wake up, be like, oh, that was some good ass sleep. I think I might take a nap. Crash right back out. Wake up from his nap, then go back to sleep. You gotta sleep, nap until you get recharged, man. Cause I done done that shit before. I done woke right up out of a deep sleep, got something to drink, and took a piss, and took a nap. Like, damn, that sleep was so good. I need to sleep on that real quick, just to reminisce on how good that sleep was. A good ass nap. It's like you ever fuck a bitch, and then soon as she leave, you masturbate and get another one. That's how that nap is right after sleep. I just slept, but I can use a little bit more and take a nap.
this is what I like about it.
Yeah.
It was so blatant and so outrageous that people go, hey, maybe they did fucking kill Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They
maybe
absolutely did.
Maybe
and
they
I was just doing shows in Fort Worth, and I was looking at these audiences, and I was going, they'd kill him again.
Yeah.
They'll kill him again. Give these people a couple of shots of tequila, another shot goes right to Kennedy's head.
Well, if there was another one like Kennedy. Like,
Right.
let's think. If someone took over after Trump and this guy was trying to get rid of the NSA and get rid of the CIA, and you know, and then there was some sort of
mafia and industrialists,
and there was and the mafia fucking got him into office in the first place.
100%.
So they were like, hey, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
We're the reason why you're here. We rigged Chicago for you. And so then he has this military blunder, the Bay of Pigs. And so then the military's after him. Everybody's hangry.
He says
the
he wants
Cubans are
to
angry.
splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and give all like peacetime intelligence gathering capability to the military.
If we had someone like that,
Yeah.
some guy like that, and by the way, he was fucking everything.
Yeah, I mean, and he was drugs and everything. You know, he was enjoying himself.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
They had a doctor, Dr. Feelgood. That's where the name came from.
And they would go,
Motley Crue song?
Dr. Feelgood? Feelgood. And it was Kennedy's doctor?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, got
That's
the
what being president was
coupons.
a great job.
Yeah,
Well, they all
boy.
were on it. That's
Yeah.
how they fucking got the party moving.
Yeah.
Is
Just meth
It's
heads.
busy, man. You got things to do. It's hard.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, listen, this is the argument.
20% off the entire purchase, including sale items. Oh, I gotta get there for that.
You have to be a little amped. He's definitely
On
amped.
Sunday the 1st.
But I like seeing him. I like seeing him. You know, when he goes big.
What is it? Sidebar.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in there and get all sale items and then get 20% off that shit.
It is onmeth.com, and meth, we're on it is the slogan. That
Oh
they
my
spent over
God.
450 grand.
I mean, there's not
And then I
anybody-
picked up a brand new tube of burnt sienna
This is what people
and a brand new
because nobody
tube
was able to
of
stop this and say,
that
hey, this is not
titanium
the best.
white.
This is the dumbest fucking ad campaign I've ever seen in my life.
Because my titanium
It
white.
sounds like a fucking Onion article.
Just a song. South Dakota. I love what it says because South Dakota has a problem. There isn't a single solution because meth is widespread, but we can approach it from different angles so it doesn't take over counties, towns, neighborhoods. Let's work together. Meth, we're on it. God.
What's up with that fucking brown water?
Yeah, that's my
Turn that back
titanium
on.
white
Put
now.
that back on. How about you fix that fucking toilet water you got your kids swimming around in?
Yeah.
Look at that water. It's just
Bam!
Yeah, meth
Brand
is
got
new.
more than one problem.
Yeah, meth is not even in the top 10 problems in South Dakota. Meth is what you need to get on to fix the other problems in South Dakota. The whole town council's got
Yeah,
some
you need
meth.
to start cleaning.
But Epstein, they just charged guards. I mean, this is hilarious. This is a very funny comic. Nick Mullen on Twitter was like, "Oh yeah, this is the justice we all wanted, the guards." You know?
No, here's what's
Not
good.
the-
Two prison
yeah.
guards tasked with watching Jeffrey Epstein on night he killed himself. They should fucking charged with falsifying records.
And conspiracy.
And conspiracy. Here's why that's good. Somebody paid those guys, and they're gonna sing, or they're gonna die. Something's gonna happen. Either they're gonna take those guys.
I think it's a way to satiate the public. I don't think there's. I mean, I don't think that Barr, the Attorney General, has any real desire to get to the bottom of what happened. I mean, this is clearly, obviously, sexual blackmail. Epstein was involved with intelligence, whether it's U.S., whether it's Mossad, it's somebody. His island was a honeypot. He had powerful people in compromising positions. He was probably like an access agent where he would give these intel agencies access to insanely powerful people, ex-presidents, people like that. So there, if you don't want to open up that wound because it's never going to stop bleeding, and guys like Barr who are this is a guy that's participated in multiple cover-ups. I don't think he has any really interest in. He's a lifelong government official. You could say deep state, you could say whatever it is, but he's just a career. His job is to protect the interests of these power factions in Washington, these government agencies. There's no way they open this up, and there was no way that they could have had Jeffrey Epstein in open court pointing fingers at maybe prime ministers and presidents. It would tear countries apart. It'd be the biggest political scandal in our lifetime.
I just can't believe they just murked him like that, though. They didn't just murk him; they murked him twice. Here's what I want to know: when he tried to commit suicide the first time, were the cameras broken then too?
Great question. I don't know.
How come we never heard that?
Well, we didn't see any footage of him.
Wilder, the heavyweight fight with Deontay Wilder. I didn't watch it. I know that shit was coming up though. I seen the knockout clip, that fucking like 5-second clip on Facebook. He hit him, he set him up with the left and knocked him out. That's what I thought too. This is my second time listening to this. And he don't say kill, he said murk twice. And then he keeps that's the word he used for murder. I can't believe they murked him like that. They murked him. I'm like, Rogan using some heavy street slang, yo. Did Rogan just say murk? Like, oh, that's some Wu-Tang. That's that Wu-Tang Mobb Deep slang. I'm a murking nigga. Yeah, Rogan went all the way Mobb Deep on their ass just now. Some people don't even know, like, they did what to him? I thought Epstein committed suicide. Rogan said murked. What? I gotta Google, what does murk mean? He was getting beat though. He a big boy, man, and he cocky. He got that flair about his personality, and he got the talent, yo. The motherfucker just a solid ass fighter, yo. He's just a real solid fighter. But yeah, I seen that fucking that 5-second right before he knocked him out. Set him up. Bam! I was like, oh shit, his knees buckled. Nigga like, ooh. My man knees went in like, ew. That setup. I'm right-handed, but I'm gonna have to set up with my right, and for some reason that my left that power hit, boy. And that's the thing, yo. But I mean, a lot of people ain't been looking at heavyweight for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather and them boys had that shit in the goddamn lightweights and welterweight section, and that's where all the flair and all the glitz been popping up. You know, they ain't really been no heavyweight fighters to keep people eyes on that division, on that weight class, and you know what I'm saying, to get shit popping for them. Everybody else looking at the smaller guys because the smaller guys talking shit. They giving better shows. You know what I'm saying? They just more flamboyant. And it, you know what I'm saying? Ever since the Tyson era, like, they ain't really, motherfuckers really ain't been looking at the heavyweights. After Tyson, it was all about De La Hoya and Roy Jones Jr. and Pacquiao and all these small cats. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers ain't look at heavyweights for a while. But now Dante, he the man. He the man in that weight class for the big boys. Yo, what's up, Bacon? How the boxing industry down tossing? They gonna down talk any black man who talk that shit, yo. He talk that shit. You gotta be like that though. You know what I'm saying? And Ali was the same way. They talk shit about Ali, but Ali was knocking motherfuckers out. You just got off, or did I? You just got off, or did I just get off? I didn't go to work today. Yeah, I remember that name, Klitzklo. I remember those. But see, I know you was a fighter, and I don't know. I really never like. I ain't really no big sports guy. I ain't really ever really keep up with boxing like that. I like MMA. I like that mixed martial arts shit, cause boxing cool, but if I get in a real fight, I'm gonna kick a motherfucker too. Fuck that. I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna try to kick you when you down. MMA style. You know? I'm gonna try to hit you in your face with my elbow. Bow! That's how I want to hit a motherfucker. I'm not trying to break my hand or spring my wrist. If I throw a little sloppy punch and come up with that elbow, that fucking knee, I'll knee a motherfucker quick. Yo, grab him by the fucking shoulder, especially if they got hair like me. Motherfucker talking shit. People don't expect you to do that shit, man. You just grab a motherfucker by the head, boom! You can't do that shit in boxing, though. Boxing got rules, restrictions. You can only use your hands. That ain't enough for me, man. I'm too small. I'm too small just to use my hands. I gotta use everything to my advantage. My elbows, my knees, my feet, my head. If I gotta fucking headbutt you in your nose, I'm doing that. If I gotta fucking choke you, put you in a reverse guillotine, I'm gonna do that to win a fight. I'm not just gonna try to hit you. I'm gonna grapple. I'm gonna wrestle. I might bite you, nigga. I might bite you, bro. I'm not lying. I will bite the fuck out of you. I'm telling you. If I'm feeling desperate and going to like blood, like real blood murder mode, if I'm feeling desperate, I'm gouging your eyeball out. I'm trying to pluck your eye out, fool. I'm not playing, bro. Cause you're not just gonna beat me down. You're not just gonna like manhandle me any old type of way. I don't give a fuck how big you is. You can be you can be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm gonna figure out something. I'm going for your eyes. I'm going straight for your eyes. Tackle and grapple. I'm gonna agitate the gravel because I'm putting you down, son. I'm putting you down and I'm gonna try to choke you the fuck out. Yo, fuck all that punching and all that shit, man. Now if I see the opportunity and it's a clear shot and I can get one off where I can get this motherfucker, especially if we the same size, not trying to size anybody up. It's hard to size a motherfucker up. A motherfucker be Bruce Lee and you don't know it because Bruce Lee was smaller than me. Shit, goddamn Floyd Mayweather. That motherfucker, I'm 155, 160. Floyd Mayweather is what, 130 pounds, 140 pounds? That's a little teeny ass dude. But I bet he'll beat you the fuck up. Tell you, like, I bet just anybody, you just can't walk up to Floyd Mayweather. I don't give a fuck how big you is. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really underestimate a motherfucker on their size. But if I don't feel like I can get you off the hands, if we swinging a little bit and that shit not working, I am gonna grab you. Don't think I'm gonna just continue to box. This boxing is not working. Now I gotta trip your legs up. I gotta get you on the ground some kind of way so I can bash your head into the ground. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it one time to see if you gonna stop. Bitch, you done? Are you done? And you still choking, trying to go, bah, bah, bah. Are you done now? Don't make me slap you, man. That's the kind of fighter I am. It works most of the time. I done got my ass beat before. I done got beat up. And that shit ain't fun. Losing a fight ain't fun at all. That's why I don't just rely on the hands. But Deontay Wilder, he gonna make a name for himself. He good. He gonna go down as one of them motherfuckers, yo. 'Cause they can't deny the man talent.
Any footage of him in his cell. I mean, they haven't released any footage of the cameras ever working, right? I mean, from what I can
No, but
understand.
did they even comment on it? Remember the first time that he attempted to commit suicide?
I think they got it. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, I think they found him. They transferred him. I don't know if they have photographic evidence of him doing that.
Google what happened the first time Epstein tried to kill himself. Because that's an interesting thing.
And where is it's very interesting.
So do they know for sure? Did they watch the footage and see him tying a rope around his
neck? And then they went in and go, next time you got to do it like this. You tie the knot stronger. You take off from the chair.
My favorite thing was the cellmate. The cellmate that they gave him.
Oh yeah, which is like it was a cop who
gorilla cop
from Westchester.
Huge skinhead looking dude, Italian guy,
coked out,
giant muscles, who killed a bunch of fucking people, sold drugs.
Just him and Epstein. And they got along.
He was like the Hollywood stereotype of the last guy you would want in your fucking cell.
In a cell with.
Big Guido, ex-corrupt cop with giant muscles.
Yeah.
It's
this monster.
And connected to the law. I mean, it's just like, if that's the guy, I mean, that would be the guy that, maybe he's the guy who killed him.
Who knows?
I mean, he's a giant fucking guy.
I mean, guys like that, I'm sure would take a bribe pretty easily, and and those guys don't open their mouths,
just for fucking cigarettes.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, you can't open his mouth. He's in jail. Right. They got him locked up, and they go, look.
And who knows? And listen, if
Tommy, come on.
Right, Tommy, do this.
Tommy, you were here forever. You like killing people.
I think they got to watch I don't know if they can do this, but they got to watch the bank accounts. Now, obviously, the people that are paying off people are pretty smart.
Yeah.
There's ways to hide money, but somebody got paid off a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
They might not have.
You don't think so?
This is a weird one. Like this one involves so many people. Money might not have been passed around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like somebody just might have called in favors for this.
Where is
said, hey, just hide.
Yeah, where is Ghislaine Maxwell?
Oh, that bitch is in Brazil.
Yeah. Somebody said she was in L.A.
Yeah, she was in L.A. at an In-N-Out Burger with a fucking book.
And they staged a photo.
CIA agents. Yeah.
And they released a staged photo, and I don't know what the fuck she was thinking. Like, oh, America will forgive me if they see I'm eating fast food. I don't even understand.
No. She was trying to release a message.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was reading a book about CIA agents that have been murdered.
Yeah, but what's the point of that message?
She was trying to say he's a fucking intelligence agent.
Right, yeah.
You know, that was something that was actually said by, was it one of the attorney generals when they were prosecuting his initial...
Alexander Acosta said that Epstein would belong to intelligence. Yeah. Well, if you just look at it, this has happened... There it is. Yeah, there's the photo.
So, does it show the book?
There's another photo. I think you can see the side of the book.
Okay.
But they also had it in that movie poster.
That's
which
right.
is
Somebody
very
swapped
confusing.
out the movie poster. They photoshopped. They took advantage of this opportunity to promote a fucking film.
Right.
Wasn't it the Seth Rogen movie?
Yeah.
This is an interesting
Hilarious.
product placement in the background of a human trafficker having a sandwich.
At least she's got good taste in
Listen,
food.
she's
But
getting
interesting,
good brand deals.
She's got an old iPhone, so she's showing she's struggling a little bit financially.
It's very interesting. She's not on the new iPhone.
That's a burner. She's got a burner.
Well,
she probably had 5 different phones. She probably drives them.
These
There
are,
it is.
you know, I think it's hard for people to understand that like elements of the CIA or the Mossad would condone the abuse of children to get leverage and information on people, but that's kind of what's happened before.
Yeah, I think they just figured, look, these 15, 16-year-olds, they're going to keep their mouth shut. I mean, we're talking about when this happened. This is all a long time ago, right?
It wasn't that long ago.
Like, how long ago did it start?
I mean, it's
90s,
it's been
80s?
going on for probably for very decades, but
Right, but my point was
Yeah.
when it initially got started, they probably didn't have the internet, right?
100%.
When did he start bringing people out to the island?
Got the island, I think, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, so nobody really understood the concept of social media or where it was
No,
all
yeah.
going to go. But what's really crazy is, like, no one's ever accounted for how that fucking guy got all that money.
Well, Les Wexner, who was the head of Victoria's Secret, was like his mentor, and they were buddies. And Wexner gave him. And you know what's so funny about the mainstream press? You know, the Wall Street Journal ran some article. They're like, how could a guy like Les Wexner, who sold women's jeans forever, you know, get totally bamboozled by Jeffrey Epstein? And it's like nobody there thought that it was maybe a pathological relationship, and that those guys knew each other and maybe were into similar stuff or whatever. I don't know. But maybe there was a mutual benefit to them knowing each other. They think that somehow this billionaire got bamboozled by Jeffrey Epstein, which is just insane to think. But that's the way the press thinks. They're like, this guy's a CEO of a multinational. I mean, I'm sure he's didn't do anything untoward.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's innocent.
innocent.
Yeah.
The Prince, the interview with the Prince was fascinating.
Yeah, well, my favorite thing about that was I think the Prince is autistic or something, and the people on Twitter were like, don't make fun of him. He's got some. I think he is. He's got something. And the people on Twitter were like, hey, don't shame him for him. I'm like, okay, can we just...
How do you know when someone's autistic? Like, there's a spectrum, right? When is it on? Like, when do you look up a fucking strip and go,
Yeah.
oh yeah, bro, you got it.
A lot of people now, for whatever reason, it's becoming more and more obvious.
More diagnosed.
It's more diagnosed, and I think you even talked about it before. It's people are not socializing with each other face to face as much, and so there's a lot of like awkward people that maybe are on the spectrum and maybe aren't. They're trying to ban clapping because they're gonna
I
ban.
saw that you want to do jazz hands.
Yeah, they wanna do
Some
jazz
people have
hands.
a real problem with loud noises.
Yeah.
L-fucking-O-L. Prince Andrew forced to scrap visit to flood-stricken York as he's called into crisis talks at Buckingham Palace.
How sad.
Summoned
Recently.
for crisis talks. Oh, right now?
Yeah, like
It's happening right now. Crisis. Oh. They're gonna fucking hang him too.
Some of his answers were so crazy.
Yes, well, if my attorney advises my little.
He's like, I don't know. When a man has said, like, he went into this whole thing that was just completely. He was clearly had a relationship with Epstein that wasn't good.
I think Epstein knew how to do it. You know? I mean,
and so did Clinton. So did a
Yeah.
lot of these people.
Clinton flew with Epstein
All the time.
26 times.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people, like, I haven't flown with my mom 26 times.
I haven't flown with anyone 26 times.
Yeah, maybe Jamie and I decided we maybe flew together 10 times. And
Right.
maybe Hinchcliffe and I have done 26 times. Hinchcliffe and I have probably
Right.
flown as many times.
You'll regret that when Tony gets outed for whatever he's doing. I mean, Tony looks like a feudal lord that's disemboweling chambermaids. So whenever they find the bodies in his yard, you will be answering for that.
They're going to find home video of Tony with Joker costume on.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
100%.
He's got a Joker is on his screensaver on his phone.
Sorry for what?
hidden from sight is a kingdom that rules all life on land.
They're landing on me. We have this coating that's falling right now all around us. They're on your food, they're in your lungs, they're on your skin, they're on each thing you touch. They're each part.
Family thinks I joined a sex cult. Dude, what the fuck? This is just... Alright, hey Billy Blowsocket. I'm 24.
This is a conversation with Michio Kaku. He's a theoretical physicist, futurist, and professor at the City College.
Family thinks I joined a sex cult. What the fuck? This is just...
Seinfeld never gives anybody a hard time about their act. I mean, he's friends with Chris Rock.
Right. Good friends,
I mean, he's got this style of comedy that he enjoys, but he's also a master at it. You know, he's a master wordsmith. You know, it's like these.
I think the
these-
regular
these
cake
jokes are
that's,
like songs. You know, he's got them
right out the box cake, yellow
Who
cake
knows?
with
I don't
some
think he's
icing
a
on it.
No,
guy. I don't think so.
at
I
all.
think he's the exception to my my gross generalization about dudes who don't.
He's also from a different era.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was interesting with him was when he was getting a hard time recently about
and I got some new socks on.
diversity. Yeah, about that was
It's hot,
more
right? It's hot.
recently. Diversity on his show.
Oh, right.
God damn, this fucking coffee makes me
On,
fall off.
on his sitcom?
No,
New
his new
socks.
show. His
Oh.
Comedians in Cars.
Yeah.
Oh,
which I
sure.
love,
It's
which
all
is
it's all
great.
his buddies. Though.
Yeah.
Like, why can't he have his buddies on?
Well, they were saying, well, how come there's no diversity? And he was like, I don't speak that language. I speak the language of funny. Like, if they're funny, I want them on. And people were listening to that explanation, and I was listening to all these dummies, these fucking dummies that were commenting on it. They were like, that sounds racist to me. That sounds racist. I don't know what I heard, but I heard that sounds racist. Well, I don't know what he's saying.
So stupid.
But you know what I heard? I heard he's racist. I'm hearing racist.
People were
Right, but they don't hear
upset
what they
about
want.
the same thing with Dave Grohl. He did that Sonic Highways,
is
which
a
is
great show.
HBO series,
Mhm.
where he went to like cities that he found that influenced him in some way. Would go and like find some like acts that were from there, and then like a studio that he had been to or worked at coming up. And it was really great. He went to all these different cities, like
Right.
DC and Seattle, New York, and all these cities along the way. And every episode was focused on one city. And then people were like, "How come you didn't have more women, or more diversity?" And he was like, "There's a show about what influenced me."
Well, he grew up around white male musicians. That
Yeah.
was his era. That's
And he,
what
by the
grew
way,
up on.
did have women on there,
Yeah,
but there were like not
couple.
enough women.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I told you I've been getting a hard time about not having enough black friends.
Oh,
Really?
I'm gonna have Ian Edwards on next week to show everybody.
thank
Let everybody know
God.
what's up.
And they're not on the show.
Yeah,
Thank
Oh, wow.
God.
on the podcast.
You know, I find, and I think it's upsetting to me. Did you see that thing, Adam
Very little
Carolla?
heat, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'm exaggerating this.
It's like whining up.
Which thing about Corolla?
There was some interview I read online where he said that there's so much censorship now. He's like, the Huffington Post has succeeded in silencing the comedians. We're also afraid of saying anything because we're afraid of being called a homophobe or a racist or this or that. And I think there's some validity to that, especially with like Caitlyn Jenner. Like on our show, I said, we're just talking shit. We're not a PC show. And the emails, oh, don't you dare, and blah, blah, how can you be so insensitive? And it's like, you know what? Something can happen in the world, and why can't I have fucked up feelings? Why do I
So
have
true.
to be on board with the PC agenda straight away? I'm all for her. Please, don't get me wrong. Mazel tov. Do what you want to do. But how come, you know what I mean? Like, I think we should also have sympathy for people maybe of a different generation. Do you think my dad gives a fuck about Caitlyn Jenner and is going to be as sympathetic? No.
I have a theory about all this. I have a theory about all this like ultra sensitivity and ultra progressive thinking, and I feel like all this stuff is very good, and it's even though it kind of is against what I do for a living as someone who talks a lot of shit about controversial issues. I think that what it is blowback against racism or sexism or homophobia. It's just gone so far the other way that it's become preposterous, and then it'll balance out somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, I've been making fun of this whole Caitlyn Jenner thing on stage, and I don't want to reveal how I do it, but in the way that I do it, like, I get people cheering. Like, people have been cheering what I'm saying. And it's not negative, it's not anti-transgender, it's not like... But I think we have to remember who the fuck this guy was and who he was living with and what he was doing for the last 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Stop with it doesn't matter if you're secretly a woman. What kind of a woman were you? A dumb cunt? Are you secretly a dumb cunt?
Right.
Because, like, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're doing. You're still the same nonsense talking, materialistic.
From a horrible family.
But now you're changing your gender.
Megalomaniacs, yes.
And because just simply by changing your gender, I want it so that it's irrelevant. So that you change your gender left or right, back and forth, go male, go female, go back and forth. What is the quality of what are your thoughts? Who are you when you express yourself? Because what I get out of you is nonsense.
Yeah.
Not a single interesting thing.
Oh.
All about me. I've always been a woman. I'm a this, I'm a that. I'm a me. It's you want fucking attention.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best ways to get attention. How about the fact that he goes from being on that show, I want to be him, I want to be referred to as he, I want people to still call me Bruce, but the 17 million people watching that show then immediately afterwards gets massive facial reconstructive surgery, becomes a woman, does this Vanity Fair thing, and what is the number one thing that's happening? Attention.
Yeah,
attention. That's the factor in all of this is attention. Completely ignoring everyone, completely ignoring the fact this fucking dummy killed somebody by not paying attention in his car, slammed into a woman, a real woman, pushed her into traffic. She got head-on collided with a fucking Hummer. Of all cars you get hit with, a goddamn fake military vehicle.
Right.
I mean, and everyone has just sort of pushed that aside. What's important is we recognize gender, and gender's a social construct. Like, it's a dummy. It's a dummy. It's a dummy. It's a dummy, whether it's a male dummy or a female dummy. It's a dummy that doesn't pay attention and slams into your car from behind and pushes you into fucking traffic.
Right. That no one's talking about.
No one's talking about that.
And that happened like a month before.
There's all it is. All we're hearing is the woes of being transgender, and absolutely I get that. But, like, you know who Bailey J is? She's transgender and looks like as close to a woman as you're ever going to get. I mean, God damn it. I mean, if you don't want to believe... If you look at someone like her and you don't say, well, that probably is someone who was born the wrong sex. Look at her. Look at that.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah, she tricked the shit out of you, Tom Segura. Right?
Yeah.
Like, look at that one on the far right with her in the black bra. Like, gee, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Get the fuck out of Dodge. Okay, that's a goddamn woman, right?
Yeah.
All right. But she's interesting. Like, she was on Opie and Anthony, and she's talking about, you know, being born transgender and all the different... You're dealing with, like, a different quality of thinking, a different quality of human being, who just also happens to be transgender. Like, I had Buck Angel.
Yeah, I love that interview. I remember.
He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. Again, a guy who was born a woman who really didn't feel like a
talk
woman.
about taking risks. I mean, that guy does pornography and is really out there with what he's doing.
Yes.
Talk about heroic in
Yes.
terms of
Balls.
putting that out there.
Balls without having balls.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, for real. I mean, but
Right.
again, it's the quality of the human being. Like, it's like,
Yes.
what do you, what's going on inside your head, as opposed to this nonsense existence that you've carved out for yourself.
Well, and also the automatic applause, the
Yes.
show business.
Hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, I don't like
Whitney
the
Cummings put that on her fucking Instagram. I still haven't seen her yet. I want to grab her and throttle her.
hero.
Hero?
The
She had
hero
a picture
part.
of Bruce Jenner and said hero.
And
I'm
then
like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
There was also, they were celebrating online that, like, Seth Meyers, his
This
whole-
one makes me mad, personally.
that after that was like, you know, I don't, this was like on his show, it was like, I don't have any joke about that, and I'm just glad we can live, I'm just happy like we're living somewhere where They don't have to make a joke about that.
No, that's your job, motherfucker. Make the jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, but they have to.
Make
You want to
the
be
jokes.
PC. It's
It's
like what we were
so
talking
terrible.
about.
That's so
It's the same
embarrassing.
sort of language. Like, I really like what you're doing with your
Right.
brand. It's like that same sort of
Soft
fake.
bullshit.
It's fake. It's
Yeah.
a fake opinion.
I don't like-
You don't think it's weird? You don't think it's weird that at 65 years old you decide to get a boob
It's
job?
hilarious and it's funny.
And
it
nothing.
is.
Look, there's
It's weird.
nothing of substance has come out of that stupid Klan. All of it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and the other thing is, I feel like now the blowback is that people will criticize you and be really mean about it
Mhm.
if you don't react the way they want you to react to any news that comes forth. In other words,
Yes.
this is what happened. So now the lynching is done to the person who goes like, I don't give a shit. Or,
Right.
or that's fucking weird. Why is that fucking? So now you're not allowed to react the way.
Right, that's what you can't even have feelings about it.
Right, you can't be confused about it.
I'm
or,
maybe curious, or maybe I'm scared. Maybe this is a new thing
or
for me.
how about
and-
the fact that it's terrifying to see a transgender dude? Like, I used to live on Mansfield between Fountain and Santa Monica.
That's
Hollywood.
Mecca.
That's Mecca.
That's Mecca for trannies.
And we would.
Sorry, I said trannies.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God! I
Let me
made
tell you
such a
something.
mistake.
When you're walking up to your apartment at 1:30 in the morning and 3 transgender prostitutes,
Transvestite, transsexual, whatever they are.
are walking up to you, you shit your pants. Okay, it's fucking scary to see a dude, a woman, 6'3", yoked shoulders and arm, and you see like a dude's face with hair. I fucking shit my pants. I mean, we would be scared.
Right.
And so would my roommates. Like we would walk up, we were talking about, holy shit. You get scared when you
But
saw
that doesn't mean that you advocate
and I don't want that
violence or
guy.
whatever
No, and
against
I'm not
them.
like
No.
I don't want that guy to or woman to not live their life and that be happy. But like, why? Or how about like the idea that like, hey, this is what's going on with Caitlyn Jenner. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Why do I have to care?
Why should you?
There's a lot of stuff
You know
going on.
why I don't give a shit? One of the main reasons is I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I don't really care.
Exactly.
Neither do
I judge you based on who you are as a human being. And this bouncing back and forth, you could do it all you want. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck.
Good for you.
Is there something else there besides your gender?
Right. Yeah.
Is there something else?
Do you have something to say?
Is there anything coming out of your mouth?
What was winning the
I agree.
Olympics like? That's what I
Yeah,
wanna know.
yeah, that's a neater
Right.
story.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy. You're the greatest
Yeah.
athlete in the world.
Yeah, at one point in time.
Yeah.
He was one of the baddest motherfuckers ever to do some shit that nobody
Of
does.
course.
Yeah.
I think what really
Yeah.
gets my asshole twisted is when they do come after the comedians. And you know, listen, when in history of ever has a comic advocated hate speech or violence towards? I don't know. Do
They
you know?
faked that. They faked that. I mean, there was a debate that Jim Norton got in. This woman was talking about rape jokes and that comics can be on stage talking about rape and everyone's cheering. I'm like, look, stop. No one does that. That's not true.
Yeah.
Like the only time a joke, like you're talking about like bad comedy maybe, like someone would say a bad rape joke.
Yeah.
The only time someone tells a joke and the word rape is involved is if it's funny if rape is involved. Like the idea that rape could never be funny. You know, I mean, it's not true. There's a lot of things that unfortunately are funny.
Everything.
And
everything can.
this conversation will definitely get misinterpreted
Of
because
course.
Good.
people,
Perfect.
yeah, people, but it's
Keep it
because
coming.
people don't listen. Like
Exactly.
they'll hear what they want to hear. They won't hear the fact that like nobody here is unaccepting or uncaring or advocating that somebody doesn't have a right to anything or hatred. They're just going to hear what they want to hear in that and not allow you to have a different opinion on it.
Exactly. And I think, but like I said, I think that all this is good. And even this like extreme PC, because it's better than the opposite. The opposite is like being a fucking Nazi. You know, the opposite is like killing people because they're Jews. The opposite is like, is instead of being super sensitive, is being completely insensitive. So I think ultimately like, it's just swinging one way, and I think what we're dealing with also, and this is the weird aspect of it, I think we all agree on this, there's a bunch of people that if you don't think the way they think, they're fucking super mean to you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
these are like people that are supposed to be progressive and kind and sensitive, unless you disagree with them,
then they're
then
bullies.
nasty. Then they're nasty.
And you see it in comedy a lot of times among comedians, where like the most progressive thinkers
Yeah.
end up being
It's
like
my favorite.
super bullies sometimes.
Well, they're not really progressive thinkers.
Right,
They're
they're
just,
not.
they what they're trying to do is they're mining the world of ideas for love and acceptance and the moral high ground. They're trying to find, instead of like having this like nuanced, objective point of view where they look at, okay, imagine what it would be like to be someone who wishes you were a woman when you're a man. I can totally see that conversation being a fascinating conversation. But if you immediately say to me, like, no, you have to call him a her now. No, you have to refer to him as his new name. No, you have to do this. No, you have to do that. What about debate? What about discussion? This is off discussion? This is off the table. Anything that's off the table is bullshit. Anything you can't make fun of is bullshit.
That's right.
That's true.
And I would argue even it's more dehumanizing to not tell jokes about Caitlyn Jenner. Because you are in effect saying, I pity this creature so much, I can't make fun of her. She can't handle it. You're actually dehumanizing somebody.
Well, it's time to be super sensitive, Christina Pazitsky. It's time to embrace the new norm. The new norm is we're not going to eat meat, and we're not going to lift weights, and we're not going to be aggressive, and kumbaya.
Oh, and bullying, too. We've solved that problem, right? If we just keep talking about it. Because my friend teaches in New York, and she said they give the kids the riot act on bullying at school, and then microaggressions.
Oh, microaggressions is hilarious.
Yeah, but then they get online.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah, that's your part. And then they go online and they cyberbully the shit out of each other.
Like really aggressively.
Yeah, it has to come out somewhere.
It's gonna come out somewhere. Yeah.
Well, not only that, bullying, as negative and horrible as it is, has caused a lot of people to develop an idea of themselves that's rock solid. Like, you know, fuck you, I know what I like, fuck you. And then they go on and they do their own thing, and then they become successful.
Sure.
Like, you know, it becomes motivation.
For sure.
Right.
You know, like, Chris Rock has a bit about Bill Gates, that if you don't have bullies, you don't get guys like Bill Gates.
Right.
You know, because those guys get bullied and they run off and start giant businesses.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
There's some validity to that. Like, I was bullied when I was young.
So
my
was
chair
I.
won't come up.
It made me fucking learn how to kick people's asses.
Well, now I
Make
want
it
to
funny.
come up.
Like this, yeah, both things, yeah.
Yeah.
But it made me go into martial arts. Like, I don't want anybody to beat me up. I'm scared. I'm scared all the time.
Yeah.
So what do I need to do? Well, if I didn't do that, I would have never went. If someone didn't fuck with me, I would have never went. And my bullying was very mild. It was mostly like fear and intimidation. It was like anybody actually physically hurting me. But it made me go into martial arts. And if I didn't do that, who the fuck knows what kind of a person I would have been if I didn't go through those challenges and the difficulties of martial arts. I would never be the same person I am now.
Fear is a great motivator.
Dude, I remember.
Fear and anxiety are the best.
They bust in a bunch of kids in my school from bad neighborhoods. And I was
mine too.
fucking scared of all of them. And people get beat up, and I was fucking terrified. This one kid got me a headlock and threw me on the ground in the locker room when I was like 14. I was like, I couldn't do anything to him. He was just so much stronger than me, and I was like,
What is this?
I
This
gotta learn
is
how to fight. And I remember thinking that,
you-
like, God damn it, like Jesus Christ, I'm terrified all the time. Like, where is that guy
Get
over there?
exactly
Oh,
what
go
you
around.
see.
You know that feeling?
Yeah,
that you
sure.
have? But that's.
I was in new schools all the time, and that fear was really prevalent for a lot of
But when
years.
you go back now and look at those are like formative moments.
100%.
You understand human interaction and psychology in a very deep way because you understand the worst aspects of it. It's not good that those aspects exist, but those aspects exist in nature. They exist in, I have chickens. And the term pecking order, the reason why that term exists is they fucking peck at each other. They find out who's the baddest chicken. And by the way, it changes. It like the pecking order changes. Like chickens become brooders, which means like when they for some reason they decide that this egg, even though there's no rooster, a bunch of lesbians, they decide that this egg is going to become a bird. So they sit on the egg, and then they get crazy and they pull their feathers off, and it's like a long cycle for them to figure out this egg.
Gaston, what's up?
It's kind of sad that this egg is never actually going to become a chicken. Their little tiny reptile brains just don't get it. So you have to take them out of their brooding stage, and what you do is you isolate them in a small cage for a couple days, and you put them where they have to rest on the like pole. They have to stand on the pole, which is how they sleep anyway. They rest on like a little bar or something like that. They're birds. You know, but anyway, when you take them out and you reintroduce them to the population, all the other chickens start fucking with them. It's just what animals do.
Yeah.
It's like that's how they motivate animals to not just be lazy fucks and sit around doing nothing. I mean, It's unfortunate. It feels weird. It's sad. But it's because, why is it because? Because chickens haven't become dolphins yet. It's because chickens haven't become aliens. They haven't evolved to the point where they can read minds and fly.
This is the studio.
You're just chicken. It's just chicken. Fucking chicken. And when the other chicken gets out of the box, you peck that fucker. That's what happens.
We were watching the thing on Gorilla.
I've been here for almost an hour and they ain't painting crap yet.
So
But
sophisticated.
It's so sophisticated.
Not very different from our society.
No,
we're gonna get started painting here.
Stepping up and finding out that you're not, and then those guys do not fuck with that guy for a while.
Well, primate psychology, it's very applicable to human beings in a lot of ways. Obviously, we'd like to transcend that, and I think the motivation to transcend that is the same motivation that leads people to, to like be more accepting and to be more open-minded when it comes to things like racism.
I literally just finished it yesterday.
Rights or any of those things. So ultimately, I think these are all good. It's all good, but there's a lot of fakers out there. There's a lot of like fake progressive thinkers and fake sweet people that really what they're doing is just looking for an opportunity to be a cunt. And when they see that you're not going along with the PC mindset, they're super aggressive towards you. And when you see them, a lot of times they have fucking dyed blue hair, and they're morbidly obese, and they're all fucked up. It's like, okay, you're getting angry about something to take away from the fact you're neglecting your very physical body. You're neglecting your life. You're wallowing in some sort of depression, and all of your success. Like what is it based on? Well, your success, your focus. You go to their Twitter page. It's all like shitting on people who are not progressive thinking.
People.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They love to
low frequencies.
There's people too that their whole charge, their emotional charge that they get, is in being is in getting with that group to yell at the person,
the police,
shame the person.
Yes.
They're like, what did you say about that?
Yes.
And then they love to write the blog or the tweet or whatever, comment on a video. Yes, but
there was this great tweet Neil Brennan did. Remember, like a month ago, he goes, "Imagine how much funnier Richard Pryor had been if he had fake pieces and blogs to guide him."
Yeah.
I don't do much pop culture or other people's art. Like, I'm just too original for that shit. So there's something that's so mainstream and in the pop culture realm as Star Wars or fucking Star Trek or anything like that. I don't really do stuff like that. All of my stuff is of people I know for the most part. Like, this is my homie. I actually know her. This is my friend. I actually know her. This is one of my homies. Don't know him in person, but he's a terrific guy from Cali. He does his own thing. But I actually asked, can I work with some of his stuff, and that's me, and that's me, and that's me, and me, and that's some older video game stuff. Like when I was doing pop culture and video game characters and shit like that, but that piece is like 10 years old now, and so I rather do stuff like this instead of doing stuff like that. But now, if you want something for yourself, I'll take any kind of commission. I'll paint the shit out of some Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker or whatever, yo. If the price is right. But just for like my own art, I won't do stuff like that. orgasm.
Thanks, yo.
That's great.
Wow.
Think pieces. What does that even mean? Fuck you.
It's so masturbatory.
Think pieces.
And to hide behind the computer too. Go. You know what? If you really feel that, stand up and say that in front of a live audience. Why don't you get your fucking cojones?
Well, if you go to the
and
UCB,
do it
you
on
probably
stage?
can pull it off.
That's true. There you go.
Got the right spot.
There you go.
Those poor fucks that develop in those like super alt rooms, and then they actually try to go out to a real room somewhere on the road trying to make money. And people looking like people in Minnesota go, wait, what?
Yeah.
Fuck are you joking around about?
Yeah, you can be real safe in your development. It's not too good for you.
Sanctimonious fuckheads. There's just so
That's
much
for
of
sure.
that going on.
By the way, you mentioned little Jimmy Norton. We're doing a show with him on Friday.
Ooh-wee! Where? Where are you guys at? Oh.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, so you guys are teaming up.
Well, we're part of. They're doing a
It's a
big
festival.
comedy
what is
jam. The DVE, like it's a big radio station.
DVE?
WDVE, I think is what it is, and it's Christina and I, Michael Che, Bill Crawford, and Jimmy Norton.
Powerful.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
love
we just
Jimmy.
fly in early, we do radio with them that morning, and we go.
Well, he's a fucking warrior battling against his PC mentality.
Oh,
But he's
he's-
also very open-minded and super pro-tranny.
I got
Oh, and I think that should
in
be...
a lot of ways.
In a lot of
But-
ways, he loves them. But I think that just
In a lot of ways, he loves
in this
them.
discussion
Wow.
is that really, I think all of us are pro all of these
Mhm,
things.
yeah,
It's-
100%. 100%.
You
yeah.
can still be pro these society evolving
Mhm.
and have contradictory or whatever conflicting feelings or on it. Just so
Well,
people
it's also like, just because you don't like one man doesn't mean you hate all
the
men.
whole thing.
Right.
Yes.
Just because you think one transgender person is a fucking dumbass
Right.
doesn't mean you hate all of them or you're transphobic.
Yeah.
Like, all this nonsense talk. And I dealt with all this ridiculous PC shit when I was talking about that fighter. That he was a man, became a woman for 2 years, didn't disclose it, was beating the shit out of these women. And one of the conversations that I had online, which was hilarious, one of the conversations was so hilarious, and this woman was defending it, this like super progressive woman with fucking pink hair and a big fat face, and she was like, she was always a man, and I said, even when, she was always a woman rather, and I said, even when she was having sex with a woman and got her pregnant and had a kid, and her response was, even then. I was like, okay, we're done.
Yeah,
We're done. We're done. We can't. This is you're talking nonsense.
Because you're focused on sex. That's not what this is about.
Right. And not only that, you're talking about something in a way where you completely eliminate the possibility that you might be dealing with a crazy person. Like because you're dealing with a progressive accepted thing. You have to put it in a box. You can never even consider the very realistic possibility that you might be dealing with someone who is not mentally sane.
Yeah.
Right.
Not healthy.
Yes.
And whether or not they're transgender might be besides the point. I mean, you're talking about someone who pretended to be a natural-born woman, didn't disclose it, didn't disclose something that might be pretty significant, and talked about it that it was a medical issue. Well, it's not a medical issue. Medical issue is you have herpes. That's a medical issue.
Yeah.
A gender issue is you have a man's bone structure and you want to fight women.
But it's such a specific and unique case in this specific case
Yes.
where a man was like, I'm not a man, I was born in the wrong body. Becomes a woman, which has every right to do. But then with that man's frame and hands and stuff, beats the fuck out of girls.
Yeah, and brags about it and gloats.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of dark shit that was attached to that people were conveniently ignoring because it didn't fit their PC agenda.
Yeah.
It didn't fit their this weird fucking like angle that they wanted to take, very specific angle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fucking. But it becomes one of those things where ultimately I think it's good. I think that this
That the
move
pushback is
towards PC, this move towards PC, to me, it signifies that people are becoming more sensitive.
But do you think, and I was thinking about this actually last week, do you think that, I'm talking about the PC movement of the 90s, where we renamed everything and everybody. Carlin had a great bit about this. They're not cripples, they're handy-capable. People aren't shell-shocked. They have PTSD. It's a syndrome where we soften language, we change the way we use language. Do you think it really changed people's minds? Meaning, do you think guys like our dad's age really changed the way they thought about, for instance, women, if they can't call them cunts, bitches, or broads? Or did it really change how people thought?
It changed probably the people that were coming up, right? But not the guy.
Young people.
Right.
But I mean, does it change the people already who grew up a certain
Oh,
way?
right. Probably not. I think they look at it like, the fuck are you talking about with that soft language shit? You know? I mean, I know that, like, my dad's generation,
Yeah.
your dad's generation, too.
The people in power still.
Right. They look at that PTSD as, like, you know, no, it's shell shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do you
Well,
think
I
it's
think
helped society?
PTSD probably no different between that and shell shocked in a lot of people's minds, because you're not necessarily defining it in any different way. But the word cripple is hard to hear if your kid has an issue. You know,
Right.
You know, if your kid's handicapped.
But it wasn't always that way. That was
No?
just what we called them. Roosevelt.
Well,
wasn't that
doctors
what
used to
Donor-
say call
they're
people
cripples.
morons.
Yeah,
You know,
mongoloid
yeah.
idiots was what they would call people that were born with Down syndrome.
Mhm.
They would call them mongoloid idiots. I mean, they would write
Wow.
that on the birth certificate.
Right, but that's what you knew. It was just a word for something that meant the same.
But do you think they
thing.
reacted the same? Like, do you think they were like, that's pretty harsh? Like,
No,
I don't think they knew.
Probably
didn't know.
But we know now. And it's like, I think that's the idea about this move towards people being more sensitive. That's what I like about the move towards people being more sensitive. Because I think it's forcing people to maybe reconsider the way they think about things.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
But I think to soften the language also takes the harshness out of the thing. Like Carlin's point was, if it's not, shell shock is what it sounds like. Shell shock. The guy's been back from war.
Mhm.
But post-traumatic stress disorder takes the zing, the actual gravity
And maybe
out
if we
of the
called
thing.
it something more aggressive, we
Like
would,
it is, because
yeah.
it is horrible to have
Right.
this thing. But we soften the labels of things and therefore soften the meaning of things and take away, like, the gravity of it.
Post-traumatic stress disorder is a weird one because that can apply to a lot of things. People that are involved in murders, like someone
Yeah.
who's involved in like some sort of
Kidnapping or
violent
something,
crime
yeah.
when they were young.
Oh, yeah.
That's stress. Cops. I think cops are the forgotten victims of post-traumatic stress disorder. When people talk about, wow, these cops shooting people, wow, you try being a fucking cop.
Oh,
Try being
yeah.
a cop for 10 years. Every day, you're showing up 5 days a week, someone's lying to you and people are shooting at you. You're dealing with the most horrific violence. And let's be honest, most likely you got the job because you didn't have a whole lot of other options.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are cops because they want to help, because it seemed like a good thing to do, because it's something they always wanted to be a part of. They always loved law enforcement. Maybe they came from the military. Maybe they had a martial arts background. They felt like it was a good fit for them. But there's also a lot of people that are cops that are fucking morons. Just like every other walk of life. Like a lot of people that are ice cream men are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people who are ice cream men, they have great jokes and the kids love them when they show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't just, nobody gets a blanket pass.
Dude.
Whether you're transgender, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whether you're white, whether you're black, nobody gets a free ride. If you really are not racist or you really are not prejudiced in any way, judge people based on their individual merits and not just put them in a category and give them a fucking free pass because there is some form of minority. Whether it's a minority because they're transgender, or a minority because they're gay, or a minority because they're whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think probably you don't know what you're getting into when you become a cop. I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Oh my
I mean,
God, how could you?
I have a couple friends, and one that are cops, and one of them was talking about working the graveyard shift in Vegas.
God.
And like just going to like the worst fucking, and just, you know, chasing people on foot while you're being shot at, and just and dealing with the worst of the worst, which I've heard from multiple cops that there's nothing worse in a human being than pimps, that they're just the most
That's the lowest
disgusting.
of the low.
Yeah, that they're worse than murderers, man.
Obviously, they never listened to a Too Short record.
What up?
Exactly.
Daddy? Yeah, it's pretty.
Pimps up, hoes down.
You do deal with pieces of shit all the time.
Yeah, but pimps, they're. I mean, obviously, they're taking advantage of like very vulnerable people too.
Yeah.
Stealing their money.
Yeah, exploiting the fuck out of them.
That's one of the reasons why prostitution should be legal. If prostitution was
I
legal,
agree.
Get rid of.
look,
Great.
you're not gonna have more hoes Okay, they're just going to be going about it in a more legal way,
Yeah.
a more upfront way. I mean, there's girls that are just and there's nothing wrong with it. Well, if it's okay to give people massages, how come it's not okay to jerk someone off?
I
Right.
agree.
You tell me, Tom Segura.
And we can make money off of it. The
Yeah.
government can tax it. It'd be
Mhm.
great.
Yeah,
Just like
clean up
in
the fucking streets.
Amsterdam.
Or
How about
something
serious?
thick.
Yeah. Get those nuts out. Everyone's got a nut they got to get out.
Everyone.
That's what I've been saying for fucking years, and no one wants to listen. God damn it.
God damn it.
Nobody wants to listen. I've been saying for years. This is the way to fix everything.
Take that
I
load.
think you're right. I think
Nuts.
everybody's pent up.
And except Too Short kills chicks with his nuts.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Hey, do you realize how much he was talking about nutting? Like, he doesn't get into the actual, like, quantity, but if it killed her.
And well, it might be just a force, like, a BB, if it's
Oh,
dropped
right.
from the moon onto your head,
Wow.
it'll kill you.
Right? Yeah.
That's an interesting theory.
I think he blew her back right. Like, it was like a fucking fire hose.
Get into the
Yeah, it
physics
could have
of
been
this.
just a few cells.
I love our segues on this show. It was pretty serious a few moments ago.
Well, we got a little upset about the PC thinking. But,
Yeah.
But rational people, but I think our point of view is pretty broad. We're looking at it like no one here is anti-gay, no one here is racist, no one at all. But we also recognize that there's a lot of some really shitty, clunky thinking that's a part of this sort of progressive thinking movement. There's a lot of really mean, shitty human beings that are getting away with it because they've adopted this particular type of thinking that is acceptable.
Yeah, bandwagoning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that without thinking.
Yeah, just and being insulting and shitty. I love going to really super lefty, progressive social justice warrior pages and watch how they're constantly just involved in fights. Constantly involved. They're just shitty human beings. They're mean, shitty human beings.
My favorite, I've been to gone on my Facebook page and seen somebody light me up about a joke, fucking piece of shit and blah blah blah. And I go to their page, and in their bio is in Christ we are all one. And, it's all about love. And I'm like, wow, that's your bio.
Yeah.
And then you are just lighting me up.
It's hard out there for a pimp.
It's hard, man.
It is. It's hard for people to figure it out.
The Rogan Experience.
I was listening to this thing. It was a talk once that this guy was giving about all sorts of different psychological disorders, and one of them was a theory that they had at one point in time about schizophrenia. Schizophrenia being having something to do with smells. And that,
Really?
yeah,
Like it triggers it?
Well, that you give off that it's a pheromonal issue, that you give off a certain smell, and then people respond to that smell, and they go, oh, this guy's weird, and then
That
you go, wow,
triggers something.
I'm fucking weird, and then it starts this chain reaction that makes you weird.
That makes you yourself
Yeah,
weird when your own pheromones upset someone else?
Yeah, because your
Okay, like a visual
reality
cue.
becomes defined by people avoiding you and freaking out by you, and you can get kind of crazy because of that.
Sounds like you need to schizophrenic people need to be more secure in who they are.
Oh, look at you.
Fucking take that.
Hey, we all start from different places, Eliza Schlesinger. Some people had shitty homes without organized parents like you.
Fair enough. I think the pheromone thing is huge. I remember dating someone. We didn't really have anything in common, but we couldn't stop smelling each other. I went to a bar and I just buried my face in his neck, and I just I can't stop. There was something. Some people just smell like home for some reason. Not necessarily your home, but you get a very comfortable feeling. He turned out to be a nightmare, but on a pheromone level.
So he was a nightmare psychologically?
I mean, we just didn't work out, and that's fine. But I remember just sitting there, and I was just I cannot stop doing this.
Was he the nightmare or were you?
We'll talk about it off the air. It was definitely not me. It was definitely not me. I don't want to say what it was because
I
anyone
understand.
listening that happens to know him will be like, I know.
Right. Who that was. Right.
I will share with you a story if you want to hear it.
Please.
Because this is really everything. And I shared this for the first time in Tampa this weekend, and I hadn't told it to anyone.
Scoot on up to the microphone. Let us know.
This is just a
You're
crazy
not wearing headphones. That's why I'm letting people know.
Oh.
When you move away left and to the right of these things, it changes the volume.
Do you think it really matters if you put it left or right?
No, that doesn't matter. But we looking for Blanche?
I was looking for the volume.
It's up here.
Oh, that's fine. Next to this.
You okay?
Is this salt?
That is a salt rock. Yeah.
People lick it.
We're hippies here. We have look. We have lava lamps, salt rocks.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix.
I couldn't eat looking at the Predator thing. Like
Really?
if I had a sandwich, I wouldn't be able to look at that and eat. It grosses me out.
It's just a mask.
Halloween costumes gross me out. Like the smell of latex and like.
Really? That's actually hard. That's like a model that was made by a special effects guy.
I was looking at it because he's so scary, but like that thing couldn't eat you.
You sure could.
Look at his small mouth.
It would rip you apart.
Small mouth.
Yeah, but it would chew chunks of you. And those other things act as teeth too. It just pulls hunks
Right.
of meat off you.
But I,
Depends on how it can articulate.
I'm just trying to make him human.
Mm.
I think he would appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, so here's my story.
I hear you. Please.
Okay, because we were talking about relationships at the beginning. So I break up a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. I feel like you of all people will appreciate this story, and I'll give you the abridged version.
Give me the juicy details.
So basically, I met this guy 2 years, not this Thanksgiving, the last one, on a plane. We hit it off, and he told me his name, and he said he went to Yale, and he worked in, we'll say he worked in finances, we'll just leave it at that. And so I knew him for a year, never wanted to date him, and eventually we dated. We dated for 3 months, and during the time we were dating, before we started dating, he told me he bought a house. And I never wanted to see the house because I wasn't dating him, I didn't care. So we started dating, and the whole time we're dating, things start getting weird. Like, we get along perfectly, but there are certain aspects of his personal life that are, like, not checking out. Like, I told my mom, I was like, oh, hey, this is his name, and this is where he works, so she Googled him, because that's what moms do.
Right.
And his work bio says that he graduated from a different college, he said he went to Yale.
Right.
It said he graduated somewhere else. So I call him, I'm like, why does it say that? He's like, oh my God, they cut and pasted the wrong bio. It's a mess up. My company's a mess. I'm like, okay, I get wrong bios all the time. Like, I totally get it. And I was like, I want to send you a present. What's your address? He's like, oh, just send it to my work. And I was like, no, I want to send it to your house. So he gives me his address. So I send him a gift, and he gets it. And then one day I'm out with my friend Laura, and we're at lunch, and we start to build a case about why we think this guy is a liar, as a joke at first, because nothing's checking out. So Laura's like, let's drive by his house. And I remember what the house looked like from the picture he'd sent me, because like 6 months before we were dating, he's like, check out this house that I bought. So I go to the house, and it's not a house, it's an apartment. And Laura goes up to the door, and she's like looking in, and all of a sudden a girl opens the door. I was paralyzed, and the girl looks at me, she's like, hi, can I help you guys? And we're like, oh, we're just looking for the guy we're looking for. And she was like, oh, you're Eliza. And I was like, how the fuck do you know who I am? And she was like, oh, I'm his roommate. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, it's not a cheating thing, but I was like, so I call him, and I'm like, why do you have a roommate? And he goes, well, my mom is sick, and she moved to LA, and she lives at my house. And she lives there, and I live with my friend to give my mom privacy. I was like, all right, well, that's weird, but, like, I still want to know where you live.
Oh, God, this guy should just change his number and run away from you.
Oh, it gets better. Yeah. So I was like, all right, so I let it go. And when we're together, everything's great. Like, perfect.
You're not thinking about it at all?
Well, that part, I was like, okay, his mom has cancer. That's what he told me. And he's like, she wants privacy. So I'm like, okay. And I fell in love with him in the first place because he told me she had cancer, and I wanted to take care of him, and, like, that really, like, tugged on my heartstrings. So I was like, okay. I met the mom once, and every single time after, I met her once, like the first week we started dating. And every time after that, I'd be like, if you're at work, I'm like, I've got free time, let me take your mom to lunch, let me take your mom to the movies, can we go to, like, anything.
Right.
Could never make it happen. Let's go to brunch with your mom, let me do something, let me take her somewhere.
Now, when you met the mom, did her illness ever come up in conversation?
No, because I thought that would be tactless for me to be like, how's your cancer?
Well, I mean, if she brought it up, obviously.
She did,
you
right.
never brought it up. Yeah.
Right, no, nothing. They came with me to the craft store, I had to buy stuff for a Christmas party. We didn't say much, but so weeks are going by, and I'm like, I just want to hang out, like, if you love me, and he always talked about getting married and stuff like that, I'm like, I should probably meet this woman more than once. So he gives me, I go to that, so I call him, and he's like, my mom is living alone, I intend to give her privacy, and I was like, okay, that's fine, but you need to tell me where you live. Whoa. You gave me that, and I was like, why are you being weird? You gave me the address, like, 6 months ago before we were dating. And he was like, he's like, my mom's asked for privacy, I'm just trying to give that to her. He kept saying that, so I'm like, all right. So finally, eventually he goes, here's the address, and he gives me this address, it's 525 Kilkea. So I'm like, all right.
That's not the real address, is it?
So I have this address. I'm like, okay. Thinking, wow, that took a lot for you to give that to me.
Right.
Like, this is clearly, like, an issue, and everyone's got their boundaries, everyone's got their baggage, and I was trying to be respectful of that. A couple weeks go by. My mom calls the Yale's registrar's office because they're punching out no record of this guy ever graduating.
Oh, your mom's awesome.
That's what everybody says. So I call him and I'm like, and I'm trying to be cool about it because again, like this is someone that I love and we've traveled together and you don't want to push it. And he's like, I don't know. I was only on campus for this amount of time. Da 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 da. He had already invited me to go to England with him for a Skull and Bones reunion.
What?
Like a whole thing, and it got canceled because his mom had cancer. So like I'm like letting all this go. So he goes out of town. I go to 525 Coquille. It doesn't exist.
Oh no.
So I call him and I'm like, what are you fucking doing? And he goes, and he launched in a story. He goes, when I lived in the city he lived in before, he goes, I had this crazy ex-girlfriend. Everyone's got a crazy ex. He was like, and basically she wreaked havoc on my social life and my personal life with my family, and I'm just very protective of that. And my mom's sick, and I'm just trying to like keep her out of that.
Oh my god.
So I was like, okay. I was like, you need to give me your address. This is the last time I'm going to ask you for this. And I'm trying not to like push him. So he comes over, he gives me the address, his mom's number, and his email. He's like, I'm an open book, whatever you want to know. So I took that as a sign of like, wow, that was really hard for you. Yale registrar comes back, no record of him. None of my friends that went to Yale know who he is. And every time I ask him anything, like the answer is super simple. Like if I ask you where you live, you just tell me and it just roll off your tongue, and that's how everything was. So I go to that house. Like I let a couple weeks go by. My birthday happens. We had Christmas, my birthday. And it's a day before I'm leaving for San Antonio to go play this comedy club. And I go to his house with my friend. It's not his house. It's like some other woman lives there, like an old woman lives there. His house. And he's like, my mom bought the house from me to keep my cash liquid. The title's not in her name. I call him and I was like, I'm walking out of your life because you're lying about something. And it all came crashing down. At 7 a.m. he texts me, he goes, I never went to Yale. I never bought a house. I went to you for over a year. And so it was just one of those like, and then so you start going back and then you start wondering if you're crazy. And then you're like, does your mom even have cancer? Are you really
Did his mom have cancer?
I'm going to say she does. But I think it's really weird that I met her once and then like I was like, what's the name of the doctor at the hospital where she is? He's like, I don't know. Like wouldn't give any information. And so yesterday I wrote an email. I don't know why I'm sharing all this, but this is very funny to me. I wrote, everybody when you break up with someone, depending on how tactful you are, you hold back on what you want to say. Like we all say, like, oh, you're an asshole, I hate you, but like then there's like the dark shit that you don't write. And I wrote an email that I won't do it, but I almost want to post online as like a template for any girl that ever wants to like enrage an ex-boyfriend. And I just lost my shit and it felt so good. Like fuck having tact. The best thing ever.
Well, it sounds like you gave him every possible scenario for him to be truthful.
Yeah.
Like you gave him every possible, like, well, maybe he's this and maybe it's that. You gave a lot of leeway.
So much, and then every day I'd be like, if you're lying, please just tell me, or just tell, and look me in the eye and be like, I'm not lying.
Oh, God.
Which makes me think if we ever got married, we would go on a boat and he would kill me. But the whole
You never know, right?
You never
That's
know.
how that shit happens. You find out he's got a life insurance policy on you, and
I accidentally signed it.
Did you find out where he worked? Did he actually have the job that he had?
He had left the company, and all these things are weird. Like he left the company in like a weird way, and he started his own. So that, like, it's at some point it's not up to you to piece together what's real and what isn't. I told this story on the radio in Tampa, and when I got off the air, all these people had sent me tweets with #Yale. And somebody sent me a picture of someone running the Boston Marathon in a Yale shirt, and they're like, is your ex-boyfriend running the Boston Marathon?
Oh, that poor bastard. I'm glad you don't say his name and publicly shame him, because the poor fuck is already a mess.
I told him he's fucking lucky. I'm like, I think on that show I did, but I'd never say the last name.
Yeah. Well, he is lucky. You could make him a part of your act with his actual name.
It's so unrelatable.
It would be a killer bit.
If I could think of...
Unrelatable?
The whole, like, that amount of lying. Like, cheating is one thing,
yeah,
but,
I
like...
understand what you're saying. I thought you meant, like, as a bit.
Right.
Like I think it's very relatable.
I think I will get around to it. I think eventually I'll stop being... Because I'm not sad anymore, but my email pretty much included... Because, like, obviously, you know, if you break up with someone, you don't want to hear about people they're sleeping with.
Right.
He got upset because I posted a picture when I was in St. Martin of me on a topless beach with 2 friends in front of me, so he can't see anything. And he was like, I felt that you posted that picture and it was directed at me, which it wasn't. Like, I posted, like, a hot picture. And so I just unleashed on this email, and I was like, it's none of your fucking business what I do. And by the way, when I was in St. Martin, I hooked up with a guy, and he went down on me for 20 minutes, and it was fucking awesome.
Whoa.
I will never talk to you again.
Whoa. That's dark.
It felt so good. Oh, that makes you cringe? But the idea of Ronda Rousey...
No. The act doesn't make me cringe at all. You writing that email and saying it, like, I hooked up with a guy and he went down, he ate my pussy.
I did not say that. I didn't say that.
Same thing. You said it.
Here's the question, though. At what point are you, as a human being, allowed to just unleash and be like, that's it?
Well,
you get this.
Honestly, I don't think that guy is worth your effort. Making more tension with him. I mean, that's a crazy person. That guy's fabricating an existence. He fabricated his education. He may have fabricated his mother being sick. He fabricated where he lived twice or 3 times. 3 times. Yeah. I mean, he's probably pathological. There are people that just can't stop lying. I've seen it before. When you live in Hollywood, if you live around here, you'll meet people that are, fake it till you make it type people that will tell you stories that just don't add up. And in the old days, you used to just have to kind of accept people at those stories. But now your mom can just Google them and find out anything.
She got on it. Ronnie got on it.
Wow, your mom's awesome. Good for her. Well, let me ask you this, because this is the difference between a man and a woman. Because you could tell me that you went to Pierce College or you went to high school and you dropped out when you were 16, and if you're you and I like you, I don't care at all. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care if you're a nurse. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a brain surgeon or a girl who works in a clothing store. It doesn't matter to me.
You would care.
I do not care. I do not care. If someone's fun and nice to be around, I do not care. I really don't. I never have. I never will. Obviously, there's a difference between a man and a woman. Like women desire like men to be successful.
Sure, and that's an evolution thing, and that's a protective thing, and I get that. Obviously, I don't want to date like a homeless person.
Right.
What killed me?
Nor do I. Yeah, I mean, I don't want someone who can't feed themselves.
It's about quality. What kills me is that those things genuinely don't matter, and he chose to judge me ahead of time, or maybe he's got a chemical imbalance. From the day I met him on the plane, I went to Yale. Nothing wrong with lying to a stranger or a pretty girl on a plane. I don't care.
Yes, there is something wrong with doing
that. There's no ramifications for lying to a stranger if you never see them again.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
That doesn't bother me. I don't care if you own a house. So it irks. It's a shame because you lied about 2 things. Let's say it's just 2, and you ruined a perfectly good relationship if it's just those 2 things and you're insecure. I didn't go to Harvard. I'm not a Rhodes Scholar. I don't care if you went to Yale.
How long did you guys date for?
I knew him for over a year, and we dated for about 3 months.
And what was it about his personality that was attractive to you? Was there a unique thing you could define?
Truthfully, I mean, as friends, he was very smart. I really, for me, intelligence is a huge thing, and in a little like funny in a snobby way, like a little, and I kind of like that. And he was very smart, very smart, a little dorky, very smart. But when we were friends, and when he called me and was like, we can't go on this trip to the Skull and Bones thing because my mom has cancer, I got a chance. This is going to be weird. I don't know I think only women will relate to this. For the whole time we knew each other, he put me on this pedestal, always asking, can we please date? Can I have a kiss? Will you be my girlfriend? And we would hang out, and I was like, stop it. Like, I'm not into this. So no one wants to be on a pedestal because there's nothing for you to do. His mom has cancer. I was like, I can take care of you now. Like, you've been nothing but sweet to me. Now let me take care of you. And in getting to take care of him, I started to like him.
Wow.
Because I had like an active role.
That's so crazy. Wow, that's so crazy.
But yeah, those things didn't matter.
So is that like the maternal instincts that you have? Is like the taking care of instincts? Because some women have those instincts sort of built in. Those.
I think so, but I think it was also just there was nothing for me to do to have an active role in our relationship as friends. Like, he had a lot of money and a lot of time, and he could do nice things. Like, he would.
Did he really have a lot of money?
Because he did have a lot of money.
Well, how's that possible? He has a fucking roommate.
So the roommate, if the answer was, he goes, my lease was up in Santa Monica. I was going to buy a house, but then I thought I was going to move. He goes, and then you and I started dating. I didn't want to move. I moved in with a friend to help her pay her rent because he's never home. And he's like, so I just leave my stuff there.
But how can you even trust that?
I couldn't. He did send me a picture of his bank account to like prove that he was a human being.
Come on.
I didn't ask for it.
He sent you the numbers in his bank account.
He sent me like a screen grab of it.
This motherfucker doctored his bank account.
He might have.
He photoshopped the shit out of his bank account.
I saw the way he lived and the way he. I mean, I do think the money thing is real. We did I may or may not have done a background check, so I definitely know what he came from. But to answer your question, the house and the college and like you lied about weird things.
Right. What is that? That's a weird thing, man. The saying you went to Yale, like the Harvard, Yale, Ivy League, like that's like ooh, like
I don't. And then he would sit. My cousin went to Yale, and they would have a conversation, and he would talk about it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, poor Beth. You're ripping paper over there. If you hear that, she's going crazy.
It's just so like no, not even that. Every time I think about it, I go back and I'm like, what clues did I miss? What am I and like what?
All right, I'm back, guys.
Realizing now, like I'm trying to like put the dots, like connect the dots. The day I met him, Twitter, and I followed him, and his Twitter handle had a Yale reference in it. And I asked him like, when we broke up, I was like, even your Twitter was about Yale, and he was like, I made up my Twitter account the day I met you.
Whoa! Just because he met you and he wanted you? Oh my God! What a psycho!
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he lied. Maybe he changed the name.
Wow! What a psycho!
And every time I tell the story, like I think about different things that I missed. So.
Jesus Christ!
But the good news is, when something that weird happens to you, there's no lesson to be learned. It's not like, oh, I thought he was cheating. Like that's a normal thing. Like this is not something I'll take into another relationship. Like I'm not.
Well, you kind of do because guys do lie about their past to become more impressive to a girl. I mean, it's super common.
Right.
And now you'll sort of recognize those sort of bullshit signs maybe quicker. Well, maybe it's like when a guy throws that out there, like makes a big deal out of it. Like maybe that's when you look.
Maybe. I mean. People wasn't really online. Some people take pride in not really being online a lot. I mean, the internet helps. Like, I mean, I went on a date last night, and you could Google the guy, and everything about him is there.
Right. And you're like,
but also, we had friends. Like, me and this guy had no friends in common. Like,
right.
The email I wrote him was so, I guess, so pointed.
Will you forward it to me?
I'll show it to you right after this. I went online, and he deleted his Twitter account. Like, I think I made this motherfucker leave cyberspace. Oh, it's bad.
Well, you should. I mean, that's for him. It's got to be. Some people just do that over and over and over again, though. My friend Eddie met this guy, and this guy, he was working on. He wanted to put him in some project he was doing, some television project, and he claimed that he had these studios, and he was working with all these networks and this and that. But where we found out that he was full of shit, I thought he was full of shit right away. I told Eddie, I don't like the way this guy talks. He name drops too much. I think he's a bullshitter. Yeah. I think there's a certain thing that people do when they bullshit, when they talk about, like, we got a project going on with Steven Spielberg. And
there's just no fucking way.
Tom Cruise is passing on the project. We want to bring it to you. Like, what? You know what I mean? It's like one of those things.
Sure.
So I was peripheral. I wasn't, interacting with this guy, but Eddie was interacting with this guy. I'm like, Eddie, that guy's a bullshitter. He smells. He just smells.
Yeah.
So then the guy starts taking jiu-jitsu class, okay? I mean, zero experience in jiu-jitsu. And then calls Eddie after doing jiu-jitsu for like a day, maybe 2 days, and is talking about catching people in triangles and all these different submissions that he pulled off, which is never going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen unless you're doing it with someone who is absolutely physically incompetent. When you first start out, you don't know what you're doing.
You don't learn that day one.
Well, also, he's not a stud. The guy wasn't like, there's certain guys, like, you could take a guy who's like a pro basketball player who's just a fucking athlete, and maybe he loves MMA, and maybe he's never taken a jiu-jitsu class in his life, but he's seen a few fights, and if he recognizes the position and you teach it to him, he could maybe pull it off on someone who sucks.
Yeah.
But it's an advanced move, like setting up a triangle, finishing it. It's an advanced move. And this guy was like, I got 3 triangles today in practice and 2 arm bars. And we were like, wait, what? And I go, I told you, he's a bullshitter. And
did he go?
Well, he did actually go to class.
Okay.
He did not ever tap anyone, ever. He is physically incompetent. Like, if you see him, you look at his body, it's like this guy, like, is lucky if he can brush his teeth. Like,
right.
this isn't a fucking athlete at all. I mean, he was just like he was a Gumby. He was a guy who essentially had never worked out his whole life, and then all of a sudden he's claiming he's tapping people out in jiu-jitsu. But that was just confirmation. Then Eddie looked into his whole situation and found out the guy was just a total complete liar, and broke it down with him over the phone. There's another one I've got. There's a guy, his real name was Ralph, and he was telling us that his name was Rafael Torre. And he was saying that he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Like just as friends, or like how did you?
Well, this guy.
You're saying telling us. Like,
okay, he was Eddie's friend, and he was a journalist for a mixed martial arts magazine, an online magazine. And so he would go to these events, and he would do. Eddie was one of the commentators for the King of the Cage, which is a smaller mixed martial arts organization.
I'm familiar with King of the Cage.
Are you?
No, I was just sorry.
And anyway, Rafael Torre actually had a fake fight. I mean, he said that he was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He was not at all. Eddie rolled with him, and Eddie is a black belt. And at the time, I don't think Eddie was a black belt. I think Eddie was a brown belt. And Eddie just smashed him, just tapped him left and right. And he was like confused. He was like, well, maybe he wasn't really trying. Like, I don't get it. Because he was a bigger guy, too. And it was like way too easy for Eddie to tap him. So Eddie, there was a few like red flags that popped up there. Anyway, long story short, the guy never did jiu-jitsu before. It was a complete fake. Would disappear, and here's a good one. Went away, okay, told his friend to drop him off. Like, pulled up to this wooded area, told his friend to drop him off. He had a duffel bag with him, filled with some shit, right? He says, drop me off here. I'm going to fight in this no-rules karate tournament out in the woods, and I'll be back in 2 days. Okay, so his friend comes back in 2 days, and now he doesn't have the duffel bag anymore, but he has a trophy that's the same size as the fucking duffel bag. He's like, I won this no-rules karate tournament. I mean, and everybody's like, wait, what the fuck? Okay, so the guy completely made up his martial arts background, completely made up fight. He also went to Thailand for a fight and got a guy in a twister. A twister is a very complex move that involves not just getting on top of a guy, but getting on top of a guy inside control, lacing one leg with your two legs, rolling on your shoulder so you go behind him, take his back, you wrap his arm around your head, grab his head, and torque his spine. It's an incredibly complex maneuver. This guy just learned it, and he started pulling it off on people in a fucking no-holds-barred fight. So there was all these things.
Yeah.
So Eddie cuts the guy off. Eddie's like, listen, man, you're a bullshit artist. I know you're full of shit. You're not a fucking black belt. You're not fighting in these fucking fights.
You just wanted to be near it.
Yeah, he goes, I know that you're fighting. But Eddie had been friends with this guy for months and months and months, and just slowly piled on the bullshit. You know, just not trying to investigate a guy, just thinking he's a cool guy. He was already in the mix before Eddie got there. He was already deep in with these mixed martial arts guys. So you just assume that a guy's legit. Turns out, as the time goes on, he murdered a guy. And murdered a guy who was married to a girl that he was fucking. He got close to the guy, and I guess he had like some sort of karate school that he was teaching at with his fake martial arts, and got the guy to come to his school, strangled him, killed him, and then was driving the guy's car around. Witnesses saw him drive the guy's car around, and had a gun that he gave to my friend Gerald, and told Gerald to hide it. And then Gerald, you know, calls me up and tells me the whole situation, and I was like, what? What the fuck happened? The guy, what? He kills him? And then Gerald goes to the cops, okay? And then the cops call me because Gerald had apparently been, they had wiretapped him while all this was going down because they suspected that this guy, Rafael, his real name was Ralph,
That's the worst part of the lie.
Well, he said he was Brazilian, and he wasn't Brazilian. He just faked his ethnicity. He faked his martial arts background. Now he's in jail for life. I mean, he's in jail for murder.
You get a lot of twisters in jail. That's
I see what you're saying there. But I mean, is that not? That's the ultimate bullshit arts. Fake black belt, fake ethnicity, fake name.
The trophy thing is fucking amazing.
It's hilarious.
That story is so crazy. It makes you sound crazy when you're telling it.
Yes, it does. Well, you can look the guy up. Google the guy, Rafael Torre. I mean, it's an incredible story that gets passed back and forth through the mixed martial arts world. But the point is that before the internet, I mean, there was websites back then, and there was martial arts websites. It was like 2000, I want to say like 2 or 3 or something like that. But you couldn't like Google a guy. You could like find out the guy's background.
Right.
Like if you Google Eliza Schlesinger, how did I say it? Did I say it right?
There's no
Schlesinger?
CH in the middle.
Schlesinger? How you say it?
Yeah, it's Schlesinger.
No, how do you say it? Say it right.
Schlesinger.
Well, I've been saying Schlesinger forever. Schlesinger.
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 Schlesinger. I'll never say it wrong again. Eliza Schlesinger.
You said it. You're gonna say it wrong every time. Every time from now on, it will be wrong, just as it's been in the past.
I'm just gonna call you Eliza because that's your Twitter handle.
Fuck yeah.
That's who you are to me. But if I Google you, I find out about Last Comic Standing. I see pictures of you topless on a beach with two guys holding their arms over your titties. I see a lot of things. I've seen it. It's on my message board. Yeah, this is Rafael Torre, the guy on the left-hand side. With the guy on the right-hand side with the glasses is Tito motherfucking Ortiz, former world champion of the UFC.
So it's just a picture they took, though.
This guy got in deep. That guy on the left. Not the guy without the red in his jacket. The guy on...
No, that's Tito, yeah.
It's his left.
Right.
Our right.
This is so complicated.
Yes,
Yeah, the liar is the one.
Yeah, the guy on the right-hand side of the photograph.
Yeah.
The guy with the mustache. Yes, thank you. There we go. The guy without the glasses. That's Rafael Torre. He's in jail for murder. And he's a fake black belt, and he's everything about his fake. His name's fake. And that guy, got deep, deep, deep in the martial arts world as a fraud.
That's so crazy.
Fascinating.
Also, I mean, I guess you want to ask him, and as I asked the ex-boyfriend, I was like, what was your end game here, buddy?
Did you have a conversation with him after this, or was it just email and that's it? Did you talk?
He texted and he apologized. This wasn't like, poof, I'm gone. Like, there's a lot of, but...
Did you think about, keeping him around?
I couldn't.
No way.
I couldn't because, you have to take yourself, I knew this, you have to take yourself out of, you're hurt and your heart's broken. You're allowed to let that heal, but getting back with someone like that is not. First of all, I lose respect from all my friends and family, and also you can't trust that person. The end game for you is that you'd be dating someone you couldn't trust
ever.
But I asked, and he just. That's the other thing, and I said in the email, I was like, I don't have all the answers from him. I said I'm willing to trade my lack of closure for the privilege of never having to talk to you again.
Wow.
So I will write my own closure. I'll draw my own conclusions. I won't defend you to anyone. And he went down on me for 20 minutes.
You're so funny.
Outside.
It's outside too, huh? Ooh, danger, pussy. That's so crazy. That the lack of closure thing is a big thing, right? Because you'll stay up late and try to figure it out. Do you find yourself during the day just driving around trying to piece it together?
Yeah. I was sitting on the plane yesterday, and you're especially when you just go through a breakup, you think about that person, whatever. And the hard thing is not. I'm past that phase. There's no. The number's blocked. I can't call him or anything. But yeah, you sit there and you go back over things, and then I start here's a weird piece of the puzzle. If you want to know what I was thinking, before we were dating, he invited me to go to England for this Skull and Bones thing. And obviously, not in Skull and Bones. You didn't go to Yale. And even after this all happened, he goes, "Well, my dad was in Skull and Bones," and I'm like, "Your dad went to Yale grad school."
What's his name? What's your dad's name?
The dad's dead
in
real life. That's but. He invited me to go to England, so I was going to go, separate rooms, and I went out to dinner with a friend who has a body that I really like. So I took a picture of my drink, and in the background was my friend's body. He's a big guy. So the point of the picture was to be look at this hot thing I'm having a drink with, not so much to be look at the drink.
Right.
I think he saw that picture because I don't remember if it was before or after, but that was the night he called me and said, "We can't go to England, my mom has cancer." I think he saw that picture on Instagram, and he was like, "I got to do something to shake this up." If the mom doesn't have cancer, it's odd that was the night of all nights.
So you were friends only up until that point?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There's friends and there's friends with an agenda. And you and I are friends. We will never have sex. I'll tell you that right now. I'm married. We're friends. I'm not going to let it happen, Eliza. Stop with those eyes. But you know what I'm saying? We are legitimate friends. Amy Schumer's another one. She's my legitimate friend. And I think it's very important to have men and women like that are friends like that. There's a line that will never be crossed. Sure. It's you can't. But there's guys who are really never your fucking friend. Never, ever, 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 ever. It's not. The whole thing was a lie from the beginning.
But I knew that. I'm not dumb. And he had said that to me. He's like, "I was never your friend." But he was someone that we hung out. And we had a really nice relationship as friends, and definitely I would get drunk once in a while, and I'd be like, "Let's make out." That's a girl thing, but it was never.
Whoa, what? Hold on, you would get drunk and say, "Let's make out."
I would kiss him and go inside. Big deal.
What, kissing tongue and everything, the whole deal?
A drunk makeout kiss, fully clothed, and then go inside.
Whoa, that's so girl.
It's
That's so crazy.
But I also said, I would say to him, I'm like, look, at any point, I'm very upfront and honest. I'd say at any point, we can stop hanging out. I go, I'm never going to date you. You need to know that.
Meanwhile, you dated him.
Eventually, but my point is, the whole time we were dating, I was honest. I was like, I have no intention of dating you.
Yeah, but you kissed him, tongue.
You can walk away. I didn't chain him to the wall. And I was like, I'm going to date other guys. I'm going to have other guys be my boy. Like, not when I was kissing him, but I was like, I'm probably never going to date you.
Right.
And he hung around.
Well, I understand that. I mean, well, he's definitely a silly man for hanging around, but not because he eventually got to fuck you. No. So he wins.
I guess. I don't think so.
Listen,
I mean,
it's because you're a girl. Listen, you kissed him. You tongued him, and he eventually got in there.
But you're telling me that every girl prior to being married, every girl you ever like drunkenly made out with, that meant something to you?
No. But I think there's a difference between you saying to someone, look, first of all, I'm a man. When a man drunkenly makes out with a girl, he absolutely wants to fuck her. If a girl drunkenly makes out with a guy, she can do it just to be silly, I guess, and then just shut the door and go in.
Yeah.
Guys don't ever do that.
That's okay.
If a guy drunkenly makes out with a girl, it's almost always because he eventually ultimately wants to have sex with her.
But that's how guys are, and that's not how girls are. And I think any girl would relate to that. Like you know, or you're just, I mean, you're drunk and you want to. Sometimes you just want to make out with someone. That's the God's honest truth. Like we all get horny, and I don't feel like having actual sex. Here's my point, though. No matter what relationship you're conducting, even if you feel I'm throwing mixed signals, you at any point are allowed to walk away. At no point was I like, I love you, please stay. It was me being like, I'm going to make out with you. Maybe I'll take my shirt off. I'm not going to date you.
Maybe I'll take my shirt off.
There's a thought. But the whole time, the lie started from day one, so it isn't as if like they came into play later, like the whole time. And then I think he was like, what happened is I lied. And I didn't know what to do. He's like, I didn't think we would date. You always told me we wouldn't. And then we did. He's like, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, well, that's on you.
Well, that's definitely on him, and the lies are unacceptable. All I'm trying to do is, as your friend, break down the mindset and try to figure out like how someone says, I'll tongue you and kiss you and take my shirt off, but we're never gonna have sex. For a guy, it's like if we're getting that close, if your tits are coming out and my tongue's in your mouth.
No tits. I was joking about the shirt thing.
Okay.
I think everybody's been there where it's like a drunk makeout. It's the end of the night. And you're just like, whatever, I feel like making out. And so you do. I know this person and this is fine. And they're like,
I fully support your right to make out with people when you're drunk and have like a very specific boundary where it's not going to go any further than this. We're never going to date. But if you want to make out, I'll make out with you right now. But that's it. And then
that's it.
That's your prerogative.
We talked about this on your show.
That. We did?
I mean, like a long time ago where I will, if I'm like, let's say I'm seeing someone, let's say it's like the second date or something, I will straight up say to a guy, I'm not going to sleep with you just yet. Like, I'm not going to do that. But if you want to go upstairs, we can make out. I'm not going to touch your wiener. We'll take my shirt off. That is a treat for you. We'll go to sleep. And tomorrow, you will buy me breakfast. And no one has ever said no. When you give men certain boundaries or parameters ahead of time.
Right.
And then I'm giving you the option to say, I'm good, or I'm tired, or I think I'm gonna go home. Whatever you want. That way you're not disappointed. No one's ever pushed it. No one's ever tried to get me to do more than I wanted to do, and no one's ever said no.
Well, you're a very strong personality, and if you say that, guys, I'm not saying every guy would respect it, but most guys would go, she's not fucking around. Like, this is what she wants, and it's better than nothing. For a lot of guys, they're like, well, yeah, it's better than nothing. Yeah, we'll go make out and squeeze some titties.
And then we, date. And that's great.
Yeah, okay. And then eventually we'll fuck. So it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that, because also we're talking, if I was a girl, also, it would be really difficult for me, I assume, to just trust a man, like, physically. Like, there's the physical thing. Like, look, you had this guy, you knew him for a fucking year, you dated him for 3 months, and he turned out to be a complete, total bullshit artist. What if it was, you knew him for a year, you dated him for 3 months, and he turned out to be a fucking psychopath, and you didn't know the whole time you were dating, well, sort of, right. But I mean, what if it's the whole time you were dating, he was raping girls while you weren't around? I mean, that's just as possible as him faking Yale. He could have been a serial rapist.
He could be at my house right now with a gun. Like, he could be a total fucking gun.
Yeah. Did he have a key at any point in time?
No, but he did, the only thing that, because we've known each other for a year, so when you know someone for a year and then date, it's a little, you could take it a little bit faster because it isn't like you just started dating out of nowhere. But like a month in, he was like, "I'd love to move in. Like, can we move in together?"
Whoa.
And I definitely dated guys that like to go fast, and you gotta like pump the brakes. And now
You
I'm like,
have to pump the brakes.
I'm the one pumping
You're
the
the
brakes.
guy. You're the guy, Eliza.
I always
you're
go
the
along with it
guy.
too.
Do you?
Because I'm like, yeah, let's be fucking intense. Let's sit and Nancy this into the ground.
Yeah, but if you really enjoy life and you really enjoy the person, fucking why not? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, but for this one in particular, I was like, relax with the moving in thing.
Right.
And now it's even weird. I'm like, so what was your plan? Like, you were gonna reveal all this,
Oh.
and then you would be living with me?
God, could you imagine if you were living with this fucking guy and all that stuff came out?
It would have been. I mean, I would have had to move.
Well, you would have
Paid my mortgage from afar.
Yeah. What would you do? Jesus Christ.
The physical thing, I always kind of like test if I'm dating someone. Like, I'll be like, I'm gonna try to get past you and see if you can stop me.
Are you serious?
I always just try to see like physically where we are. I definitely almost beat a boyfriend in an arm wrestling match one time.
Come on.
Yeah. Not everybody works out, and not everybody's angry, but I definitely
You
was.
saying I work out and I'm angry? Is that what you're trying to say?
I did not
Does that
as. It
imply?
was a comparative. But the physical thing, I definitely.
Not everybody works out. Not everybody's angry. That's like
I meant for me. I was saying. I mean, I was saying I work out and I'm angry.
You just got to know how to sling it. You know, bullshit, it does work on occasionally, even with smart. I mean, that's what's the most impressive thing about his accomplishment. You are, you know, you're one of my smartest friends. You're smart. You're very smart. You're very quick. And for a guy to trick you like that, and trick you over a long period of time with a lot of questions along the way where you hit some bumps.
I guess, but here's the other thing. I mean, I don't even know if the word is trick, and I totally fell for it.
Oh, he tricked the shit out of you.
I feel like, I guess it is trick, but it's also one of those things like, why would I question that? In my life, no one's ever lied about where they went to school that I knew of.
Right.
These are not lies that in society we're told to look out for. It'd be one
Right.
like, everyone's like, does he have another family? I wouldn't even think about, like, your school. Like, who cares? It's like lying about your blood type. Unless
Well, not just this, he lied about where, most likely, let's be honest, he most likely lied about his mom having cancer because you were dating a big hot guy, you know, and he most likely lied, well, he definitely lied about the skull and bones part about England. He lied about his house twice. He lied about, you know, he sounds like a guy who just lies I mean, he's probably gotten laid doing that his whole life.
I don't think he's gotten laid enough. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it. No, because I don't think he's not like, I totally got tricked. I'm not above admitting that. I'm also not above admitting that I think when you love someone, your judgment is clouded. And I didn't know the scope of what that could be. In a billion years, I wouldn't have thought that was real. Like, I thought it was a joke that, like, oh, we can't find his Yale diploma, whatever. But you almost don't want it to be true.
It's very weird when you think about what we're doing to the human body.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the diabetes levels that you're talking about, or pre-diabetes and chronic disease and all the different issues and 40% obesity rate and all these different factors, it's an epidemic that's sweeping through the entire nation, and it's largely ignored other than health fads, weight loss videos. Yeah. It's like peripherally examined.
I like to call it a slow motion plague.
Whoa.
Because like the bubonic plague, you know, which was a fast motion plague, it threatens us in the same way.
Yeah, I still be in the gym.
Threatening the health of future generations. It's shortening our lifespan. It's destroying our quality of life.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Even if you stay alive, the quality of life.
I've been working on this painting for a minute.
There was a recent article that came out saying just that, like,
I can't get a good spot. I started to get that glare because I'm adding those light colors on it.
And saying, yeah, we have a long lifespan, but our quality of life has significantly declined in those later years because we're burdened by all these chronic diseases. I'm about to take a break in a minute anyway. You know, the average, something like 1 in 5 or 2 in 5 elderly people over 65 are taking more than 5 medications. It's a huge problem. And this is the thing, you hit on this point, so I want to reiterate it because it's super important. We have accepted chronic disease as normal because it's so common, but there's a really important difference between common and normal. What's common is not, not necessarily normal. It's now common for people to have chronic disease, but that's not normal.
Right.
How do we know? Again, the Tsimane, it's a subsistence farming hunter-gatherer population in Bolivia. And recently there's been some articles in the New York Times about them. There's some anthropologists, medical anthropologists who've gone, and doctors and researchers who've gone down there to study them. They wanted to see that it's like, this is one of the last places on earth where people are still living pretty traditional diet and lifestyle, so we better study this quickly, to see what's normal, what's truly normal for humans. Not common, but normal.
Yeah.
So they eat, paleo type of diet, fruits and vegetables, some meat and fish, nuts and seeds, some plantains, other kinds of starches. They walk an average of 17,000 steps a day, which is about 8 miles, so quite a bit. They live in sync with the natural rhythms of light and dark. They don't have a lot of artificial light exposure like we do.
Right.
They sleep 7 to 8 hours. In fact, the researchers are trying to ask them about insomnia. They don't even have a word for it in their language.
Wow.
Yeah.
They work.
Yeah, they're just, they're living their normal, that's as close as we're going to get to a normal human population, right?
Yeah.
So they studied, they did blood markers on them for heart disease, but not only that, they did CT scans of their heart, to see if they had calcification of the arteries. They found that the rate of heart disease in this population was 80% lower than it is in the U.S. 80% lower. Okay, 9 in 10 Tsimane adults that they studied had absolutely no plaque buildup in their arteries, which means they had virtually no risk of a heart attack as far as we understand it. And, before anyone who's listening to this says, oh yeah, that's just because hunter-gatherers all die when they're 35 years old, that familiar argument. Well, this study included people between the ages of 40 and 94 years old. What's more, the researchers estimated that the average Tsimane 80-year-old had the same vascular age as an American in his mid-50s. Whoa. There's almost no cognitive disorders or Alzheimer's disease in the Tsimane. So that's a really clear example of what happens when you give human beings the right inputs and they're not exposed to all this crap that we're exposed to. They live long and healthy lives that are virtually free of chronic disease, and that's despite the fact that they have much higher rates of infection than we do. They live on a river. They've got parasites galore. All of them have parasites.
Yeah.
And yet they still are healthier than us in almost every way you can measure it. They have lower body mass index, lower blood pressure, lower weight. They don't get heart disease. They don't get, Alzheimer's and dementia, which is now climbing up the list of causes of death and tripling.
I'm glad you brought up Alzheimer's because I read something recently. I didn't read the whole article. I just read the title of it. It was connecting Alzheimer's to gut bacteria.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a strong, this is actually something referred to as the gut-brain axis, which is this very well-known connection between the gut and the brain, and it goes both ways. So, the gut can influence the brain strongly, and the brain can influence the gut strongly. So, my point is just that what you said, when are we going to realize that just these changes, making these changes is what we need to do to prevent and reverse chronic disease? And we have these examples of people like the Tsimane that show us very clearly that it's the way we're living, not our genes, that are causing this chronic disease epidemic. So the easy way would be to, write books about it, have shows like this, keep educating people and doing that, and that's what I'm hoping for, and that's why I wrote my book. But the hard way is that our system fails, that it becomes so overburdened by the rising rates of chronic disease and the unsustainable expenses of that it basically falls apart, and it becomes, we respond in a kind of to it as the crisis that it really is, because it becomes apparent at that point that our way that we've been doing it has not been working, and that we desperately need to find a new way. And that's another possibility. And which one you think is going to take place kind of depends on whether you're a glass is half empty or a glass is half full type of person.
Well, from your own personal point of view, if you're listening to this, rely on all those things to happen.
Yeah.
Just try to go out and do something about this for yourself.
And I think that's how it's really going to My personal view is it's going to be a little of both, actually. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing some big changes on the more local grassroots level. So we've already seen stuff like this. Examples would be there's a group called Iora Health in Denver. It's a primary
Alright guys, let me get out of here for the night. Did almost 2 hours, but this piece is coming out pretty good. Alright guys, I'll catch y'all next time. Appreciate the company. Peace.